So good evening. After my talk last night, I decided tonight once again, after coming home, I taught 2 classes today. I had a summer session class for 2 periods. It was nice in a way, go to the university and in the summer there's like almost no one there, like literally this big, you walk into this building that's usually filled with students and staff and all. It's just like empty, Obviously the building's open, and obviously I had class with students in the classroom, but I was up on the 3rd floor kind of thing, and the whole building's just empty. Like all the public spaces where students usually are sitting, the tables are usually full. You can't even sit there, there's a lounge for part-time professors. I don't have my own office, so I could just sit wherever the heck I wanted to, and nobody would bother me at all. That was kind of nice. Anyway, and then I taught my class, and we were focused on news things in this class. Talked about the military parade in China, in Beijing, and Tiananmen Square, actually. And, with Putin was there, and Kim Jong-un was there. The president or the head of Belarus and Cuba, and etc. And then Trump's rant he gave on Truth Social. And we talked about Trump and Harvard and how Harvard stood up to him, and the judge stood up for Harvard, and now he's trying to hit back. He just wants to hit back at everyone who opposes him. He thinks he has total power. It's very strange. Maybe this could be part of the topic in a way, not politics and not Trump. I don't care to talk about that, but this thing that humans have, which is called ego, which makes us think that we are much more important than we really are, or that, I'm stronger than you or my nation or whatever. Again, without getting too much into politics, if possible. But politics is also part of human nature, the way that society is structured and the way that we're dependent on and ruled by these systems that are led by men mostly with gigantic egos, and nationalism and all this stuff, and it's a never-ending spiral, a repetitive pattern that it doesn't escape itself. It just keeps going, and it doesn't find the exit. It doesn't, the bird in the cage that never realizes the cage door was open and never flies out of the cage and just keeps going around, or the hamster on the wheel, or whatever. Sisyphus is a bit different, I guess. Sisyphus is more like most of us who are working toward some supposed goal or goals, and actually those things are just as false as anything else. And this is what I want to talk about, because I think one of the primary reasons people, myself included for sure, feel so unhappy so much of the time, though what I see around me is that, it depends on the situation, the culture. I live in Tokyo, where people don't show much emotion, and they don't open up in public at all. So it's maybe less apparent in a way, but it's all still it's like covering that up, and however you do it. In Japan, generally, there are a lot of sort of accepted ways not only accepted ways to do it, but ways that you must kind of present yourself in public, particularly if you're, working somewhere, or things you say in a set fashion, gestures, everything is set, so you don't ever have to show any emotion. And, but the reality is we are these complex emotional beings, and we have needs, or perceived needs. Some of them are actual needs, like eating and sleeping and drinking water. And some of them they fall somewhere between, like, touch or sex or relationships. Those are somewhere in between. For some of us, without it, we'd just go crazy. For most of us, without it, we'd go crazy. And then there are some who sort of transcend those things in a way. I think, like I say, you can't transcend needing to eat 100% or sleep 100%, but you could transcend, like, needing to socialize or to have physical relations. And some people don't even need that, and others do need it or want it, but they don't have it. And there are all these different levels of need and want, and I called it needs, right? So, but if we look at it with, like, razor precision, like how much of it is need and how much of it is want or addiction or that kind of cycle, I don't know 100%. And it varies person to person, and it depends on one's willpower too. And it also, I guess, depends on one's sex to some degree. It's different for men and women, or even sexual orientation. I don't know. I mean, I'm not an expert on any of that, so I don't know. But as for myself, I mean, I'm okay being, I'm not asocial or antisocial, but I'm okay being alone most of the time. I mean, I just, I think about it, like if I walk into a place to eat something or go to a coffee shop to work on the computer, have a cup of coffee, I do drink coffee, or even if I on occasion walk into like a bar or a bar restaurant and I have a drink of alcohol, something, I'm always alone and remain alone, and then just leave, and then I'm alone. This has really been my life in Tokyo. I mean, not 100% all the time. I mean, occasionally I do music events, occasionally I meet someone and we talk for an hour or two. Really not frequent though, very infrequent. Occasionally I'll go into a place and end up engaging in some sort of conversation with either someone I know because I've been there before, or someone I don't know who just, like if people are drinking and they're suddenly friendly, which is in Tokyo kind of not that common, where people would be friendly toward me, a stranger or a foreigner or whatever, just walking in and just chat with me. It does happen occasionally, but it's not that common. Like in Fukuoka when I lived, it was pretty common, or in Osaka, that kind of thing is pretty common. But in Tokyo, it's much less. People just stay to themselves, or they stay in their groups or with their friends or their whoever, and they don't really venture outside that usually much, unless they're drunk or, as I say, or a little bit different type of person. Or it's just engaging in very small talk. Like again, usually a drink is involved, but it doesn't really go anywhere. So, what the hell am I trying to say in this talk? I'm just talking maybe because I'm just alone again. So I'm questioning. I started with ego and, right, that we feel we need to be better, or we need to compete, or we need to prove something, or we need to be on the right side of history, kind of thing. I talked about in class this. But actually, the deeper question I have, and always have had, in a way, is why are we here? What are we doing here? And what is our purpose? And if there is any whatsoever, is it the spiritual thing where it's a training ground? It's a way of shedding old karma, old patterns that may not be even ours, but something from an ancestral line that we're just a continuation of that, because we know, like science, we inherit not only possibility of physical conditions or illnesses, but mental illnesses, for example, or food allergies or or personality traits. Nature versus nurture and genetics. From the science side. So what is this? I just, it's like again, when one's on a spiritual path, it's like, when the questions drop away, then there you go. So it's not like there's this constant need to ask the question again and again if there's no answer definitive anyway. But it's like the questions kind of linger as questions without answers. Like, I've accepted that there's no answer, but the questions linger just as questions. They're just floating there. They don't just go away, but you just, if you stop seeking the answer, the question doesn't really ever go away, but it's just the answer is not the point. The question itself is the point because, what's the human condition? Why are we here? Why do we die? Those questions don't go away. But if we try to stop answering them, then maybe we have some sense of progress in our just letting go of it and accepting just what is, for better, for worse. And that includes the fact of death. And so this is my sort of meandering talk. I suppose when one feels as disconnected as I felt for at least, off and on, maybe at some points where I had more social life or something going on and it was a little easier to feel connected. But overall, basically for 5 years or so living here, for the most part, and certainly the last 2 years, I can say last year and this year for sure, I've been feeling completely disconnected from everything and just not able to, like just getting onto the train and looking around and seeing people, with the bent necks and the phones. It's like everybody is kind of depressing. And I've been intentionally trying not to touch my phone as much. I use it to listen to music. I've got earphones in and I'll put my phone down or in my pocket or whatever. If I'm sitting or standing and listen to music, but I try not to keep, I'll look at it and I'll do for some things, but I won't sit there with it the entire time with my neck bent and my nose in it. And when I look around and that's all I see, almost everyone. And it's not even age specific. Older people as well as younger people, middle-aged people, people with masks, people without masks, some people just sitting there sleeping, or occasionally someone's reading a book, but mostly it's that. And I just feel this great sorrow and pain and disconnection amongst people around me. And of course, I'm feeling that way as well, but I'm also feeling that energy, if you will. I'm not talking like, I feel everyone's energy, and I'm not a psychic, but I just feel that energy, okay? I feel that way in the train, like that's how it feels. And that itself is a kind of drain, because that's the way that I feel anyway, just being here. And then it's like I'm surrounded by literally that, and the sense of, not only that I don't feel connected or that I'm able to connect, but that no one's connecting with anyone. And that there is therefore like zero potential for connection in the world. And that also makes me feel and think that sitting here alone in this room is what I need to be doing, in a way. I mean, I can sit alone in a cafe, which I do, or sit alone in a restaurant, a place with food and eat and drink, or check my mail, or read a book, or listen to music. But it's the same, even surrounded by people, it's basically the same thing. It's just that the lights are brighter because I don't like bright lights. I keep the lights relatively dim. This light is right, and I have one more on there. But I don't like bright fluorescent lights like pounding down, and I don't like the music mostly played in like any public space. If there's music, almost always I have earphones in. So I could sit alone in a public space, or I could sit alone here in this room, in my own space, although it's small and I sometimes need to get out. But there's no connection either way with people. So, which is better or which is worse, or is there a point to being out in public? Yeah, to get out of my room, and also taking walks in nature, being outside and getting exercise, and of course those things, and I do this a lot. I mean, regularly, take walks and so on. But Tokyo, for me, is a place that feels exceedingly disconnected. And, when I look at SNS, and I get the sense that that's true everywhere. Feel free to leave a comment. If anyone's even gotten this far into the video, feel free to leave a comment. Do you feel this way where you're living, wherever that is? If you're in Tokyo, you can tell me what it feels like to live in Tokyo. I mean, part of it is I don't have a partner. I said this in my last talk. I don't have friends that I see regularly or talk to. So it just feels very, very disconnected. And, you can talk to people. Like, I mean, I thought about this today. Like, when I'm out, like when I talk to people, I smile and sometimes even laugh or tell a joke occasionally, or, I'm pretty much friendly, but but that's it. It's just like a little short exchange. And then I go back to being inside my own world. I think that was, that's too bright. So, that's what it is. But like I say, I look around on trains, whatever, and everybody's just in their device, or at the station, everyone's in their device. I even see sometimes, I made a joke about this in my class, and the students laughed because their age, like kids in their 18, 19, 20, or whatever, and they're on a date. They're sitting on the train, like after a date, or during a date, or on the way home, on the way to, I don't know. They're obviously like on a date kind of thing. They might come in together and they might say something to each other and whatever. But then once they're on, they're both on their phones. They're not even looking at each other, talking to each other. It's like, what's the fucking point? Or, and this was kind of jokingly too, like maybe they're holding hands and then they're looking at their phones while they're holding hands. It's like, come on. So I do think, certainly the younger generation who are born with these things, my students' age and the younger kids, but even, I don't know, older people my age, or slightly younger, slightly older, whatever it is, that same disconnect is there. It's just, it manifests maybe slightly differently for everyone. And like I say, occasionally someone's reading a book, or, so I don't know. What else do I have to say? I started with politics because I was teaching politics, and this need to show the world your power and your strength, and it's his fault, it's your fault. We're on the right side of things and you're on the wrong side, good and evil, black and white. There's all this, and then there's the whole, disconnect between people, and then there's the question of why are we here in the first place? What can I do that's worthwhile other than for me making music or, because I don't have much else that I can do right now, or I feel that way. And teaching my job, and I enjoy it. Usually, I enjoyed today's classes. So, I guess that's my talk. I don't have that much to say, but I just wanted to do this. Again, because I just sort of realized I need these talks for my mental health. So next week I'll be with friends a little bit, but basically I'm here. So thanks for watching, as usual. Take care. Thank you.